I'm Chris Hughes. I'm the Customer Training Officer for Stockport Homes. Unfortunately, we've had to cancel all of our courses because of the coronavirus outbreak, and as you can see, I am now working from home. What we thought we'd do in the meantime is maybe give you a little bit of support for people who are, like myself, stuck at home during this difficult period. It's a tricky time for everybody, and we know some of you, especially if you're self-isolating on your own or you're feeling a bit stressed or a bit anxious about the whole process, hopefully we can do something to try and support you. So we thought we'd do some quick and easy little videos like this, cover some simple sort of things and suggestions that you can do to help you through this period. So with that in mind, this first one is going to be called our top 10 tips to surviving self-isolation. So the first two tips hopefully will be fairly obvious, as we've been hearing a lot about them recently, but we've included them anyway because they are important. Tip one is stay in. Stay indoors, stay away from other people. You've heard all about it, I'm sure, already, but you are allowed to go out to buy essentials and obviously for exercise, but other than that, please follow the guidelines and stay indoors. Tip two, social distancing. Stay away from people. Unless you are literally locked indoors with the rest of your family, stay away from people. Even when you have to go out and buy your shopping, or if you go out for a walk for your exercise period, give a good 2 meters or 6 feet distance between yourself and other people. It really is important, so we've included those, but I'm sure you already know them already. Tip three, try to get a routine. If you are away from work or away from what you would normally be doing, it's very easy for us on our own, lying around the house all day with not much to do, to slip into bad habits, to find your body clock starts to shift, you start to stay up late, you start to get up late, you start to find this isn't a very good thing for you mentally. So it's important that you try and get some kind of a routine. That doesn't mean you have to pretend you're in the army and get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go for a run, unless you really want to. But it does mean try and set yourself an idea of when you're going to go to bed, when you're going to get up, when you're going to try and do certain things. A routine is a good, healthy way of living your life, and it will help you mentally stay on top of this much better than if you didn't have one and you start to slip into bad habits. Tip four, stay connected. Stay connected with your friends and your family and anyone else you know. We are social animals, and it's important for us that we have a connection with other people. If you lock yourself away and don't talk to anybody in the outside world, it's not very good for you. It's not very good for us as human beings. Now that's easier said than done in the current situations. If you are tied to the house, and obviously tip one was stay indoors, it doesn't help that situation. But use technology if you can. If you've got phones, if you've got computers, if you've got anything, use those things. Call people, email people, text people, use social media if you use social media already. Use Skype, use things like Zoom. If you don't know what that is, Google it. It's a way of basically talking to people. It's free if you've got an online connection and you can see them. You've got cameras. Most of the laptops and computers now have little cameras built in, or even your smartphone, you can use it on that. But try and set yourself a little habit of staying in touch with people, just seeing how they are, just talking to people. You'll feel better for it. Tip five. Try and limit your information. Currently, if you switch on the news, daily briefings, etc., you get a lot of information about the coronavirus situation in the UK and the rest of the world, and a lot of it is quite grim. There are positive things, and obviously we're doing things to try and protect ourselves and protect our loved ones, but what we've got to be careful of as individuals is not overloading yourself with bad news, especially if you're the kind of person who struggles with anxiety or stress or those kind of situations or issues. Sometimes too much news can start to drag us down, can start to make you feel a bit low, can keep you awake at night worrying. It's important to know what's going on, but that doesn't mean you have to do it all the time. There are positives and negatives. Take on board the important information. Once you've got it, switch it off. Set yourself a little time or a slot in your routine when you're going to catch up on those things, and then box that off. and then get on with the rest of your life. Don't sit there wallowing in the bad news. It will only drag you down. Tip 6, exercise. Exercise is very good for you physically. It's also very good for you mentally, okay? Now, that doesn't mean you have to go out for a 6-mile run at 5 o'clock in the morning, unless you really want to. I personally can't even contemplate the idea of doing that. But a walk, you're allowed to go out for exercise. Why not go out for a walk if the weather's half decent, which it has been, touch wood, so far. Go out for a 20-minute walk. Go out whatever you can cope with. Just try and get a little bit of physical movement and activity into your daily routine. If you can do a bit more, or if you don't really want to go outside, or if the weather turns bad, then think about things like yoga, for instance. If you've got a computer and you're online, then there are plenty of free exercise and yoga tutorials. I'll put some links in for a really good one that I've been looking at. And you can do that in very limited space, and a lot of these you can get adaptations if you've got physical things you need to be conscious of, or if you need to take care. It's going to be very gentle. Look at things like Tai Chi, or just if you just Google things like gentle exercise routines in your home, those kind of things. But generally, just try and get a bit of activity into your life. It'll be good for you physically, and it'll be very good for you mentally as well. Tip 7, complete opposite of exercise, is relax. Okay, find some time, especially if you're getting a bit stressed with things or if you're worrying. Try and find some time for yourself where you just switch off all the information, switch off all the distractions, and just try and just be inside your own mind for a short time and just try and completely relax. If you want to have a bath, if you want to just sit in a nice chair and just close your eyes, those kind of things are very good. If you want to take a step forward, then you might want to look at something like mindfulness, or even meditation can be very useful. And again, if you look online, you can find lots of free resources that will help guide you through that. It's not as wacky as it sounds. It can be very beneficial, but especially if you're worrying about everything that's going on, sometimes if it's the kind of thing that's keeping you awake at night, try and find some time in the day when you switch off the TV, switch off the radio, put the phone down, and just chill in the purest sense of it. Just kind of be in your own head and just try and let those thoughts drift away and get some relaxation time. Tip 8 is try and use your time. Okay, the one thing I've complained about over the years is all the things I could do if only I had the time, and now that excuse has gone. I'm starting to realise some of those things I just didn't want to do. But now if you have time, use it. Think about what you could do with all this time if it goes on for 3 weeks, or if it goes in for longer, what you could achieve in that. Think about a hobby maybe you wanted to try. Think about those books you wanted to read. Think about if you want to learn something. Again, there's a lot of free online resources. We're going to try and do some online sessions and courses as well. We're getting those organised now. But use this time. It's a gift you've been given now to some extent. Try not to waste it. At least then you'll feel at the end of each day you've done something constructive and something positive with the time that you've got. Not just sit around starting to get dragged down by it. Actually use it as a resource and get something out of it. Tip 9 is very important for your mental well-being, something you might not be aware of, but a lot of studies are showing that there's great benefit for our mental well-being if we help other people. If you have the opportunity and the chance to actually do something for other people, not only is that good for the people you're helping, but it's very good for ourselves as well. So try and think, is there any way you could help others? If you are volunteering for a charity or doing something practically like that, that's brilliant. I really encourage that. But on a smaller scale, it could just be that you check in on people. Just see your friends and family, and just takes back to that earlier tip about staying connected. Just get in touch with them. Ask them how they're feeling. How are they? Just listen to them. Let people get it off the chest. Just be there for your friends. Supportive. And you'll find that the flip side of that is you'll start to feel much more positive and beneficial about yourself. And the final tip, tip 10 of our top 10 tips is, and this may sound, if you're struggling at the moment, may sound a little bit patronising, but it is, I do mean this quite seriously. Look for the positives. try and show a certain element of gratitude for what you've got. We've all got positive things in our lives, even if you're really struggling right now. Try and focus a little bit on those positives. Try and have a sense of what you're grateful for right now. Again, there's a lot of research showing that that sense of gratitude is a really positive thing for your mental well-being. Often we get really focused on everything that's going wrong in our lives or everything we're struggling with. And of course those things are important. But don't let slip the things that are doing well in your life, the things that you've got going for you. So try and focus a little bit on the positives. Try and focus on a little bit on the things you can do rather than things you can't do. And as much as you can in the current situation without it sounding silly, try and enjoy it. Try and find little elements of things where you can actually get something out of it for yourself. It's very important in these current times. I know it's difficult for some people in their situations, but there's always something. There is always positives there that can be drawn out if you really look for them. So I hope that was useful. Obviously a lot of those things I would imagine are quite obvious to most of you. Maybe there's a few surprises in there. Think about them. We're going to try and do some more of these videos. They'll be very short, bite-sized things. We maybe take a few of those tips and look at them in a bit more detail. If you like what you see, put a comment underneath. I'll try and include some links to other things that I think are very useful, so look for those below this as well. And look out for us, because we'll probably be doing more of these. We might even do some interactive sessions through Zoom, etc., where we can get to talk to you one-on-one or in groups and try and do a bit more delivery and something a bit more like a real training course. Hopefully you enjoyed this. My name's Chris Hughes from Stockport Homes. See you soon. Take care.